All right, guys. Ramadan is almost over, I believe, and this week we're going back into playing some softball. It's been a long time, but it's good to see all your familiar faces. On a Friday night game, we have Gentlemen's Club versus Gentlemen's Club versus Legends coming. Legends' final effort to try to make the seventh seed and avoid the wild card. Gentlemen's Club is pretty much locked into the wild card, so Legends got to sweep all four games this weekend to even have a hope, and some teams that are ahead of them are going to have to lose. But I'm going to go with the Legends sweep here. I know that they've been practicing in the offseason. I find it hard to believe that Samba's had his guys playing or doing anything so I think they're going to be a little coming off rusty. Plus, I think that Samba's team is going to be more focusing on the Sunday game, as the rivalry game probably means more to him than the Legends Friday game. So let's get right into it. And again, I think this is a great thing that the league has done for the rivalry weekend. I think it's really cool. It gives some nice storylines. So let's start off first with Shaw's versus Wild. Shaw's up and down all season. They beat the Kittens, they beat the Hitmen, then they lose to some surprising teams. I don't know if their full team's not there. I don't know what's going on. Pretty much same thing can be said about Wild. Started off strong, hanging with the good teams, losing some important games. Kind of find themselves at an 8-10 record. They still kind of have the best road to the 7th seed, and I still think they will get the 7th seed. Shaw's already locked up and basically into the 6th seed as it stands now. I'm going to go with the split here. Then we have the No Side versus Legends game. Right now, if the season ended as it stands, No Side would sneak into the 7th seed. I do think, though, that the Legends are going to sweep this game also, although No Side has kind of turned it on a little bit towards the end of the season after some criticism by some people. But again, unfortunately, I see both of these teams still making the wild card. Just too many too many important games ahead of them. Too many other teams. Too many other teams that are ahead of them. Tiebreakers, factors like this. It's just too much to really comprehend. Let's go into the Gentlemen's Club versus the Kittens game. It's gonna be a good game. It's gonna be a good battle-tested game for both teams. Most of my guys do play in our league, so they've been playing, during the break. So I don't think Russ will be a factor for us. I'm gonna take us in a sweep in that game, although it should be a very fun, entertaining game. Then you have probably the most important game for anybody, storyline-wise. You have the Decepticons versus Wolfpack in a game where if Decepticons win both games, they jump over Wolfpack and they make the wild card. If Wolfpack wins one game, that knocks Decepticons out of it due to tiebreakers and other things. So it's a tough one. The Decepticons, I think they got a lot of talent. They kind of hung with us for a little bit. They have talent, they do. It's just finding out where players are going. I'm going to have to go with a split here, and I'm going to say the Decepticons missed the playoffs this year, but just once they figure out some things next year, they will be better than a 2-22 team or whatever that they're going to finish off at. I do have high hopes for these guys for next year. That being said, Wolfpack with 4 wins does sneak into the playoffs, into the wild card, and anything's possible once you make the wild card. Let's get into our bigger games here. Let's start with SWAT versus Hitmen in a game that has giant seeding implications. Hitmen hanging around there with 2 losses. I'm going to tell you this right now. If Hitmen wins both of these games, I'm guaranteeing you that they make the first seed. I'm telling you that right now. They're going to make the first seed if they win both games. I'm also going to pick them to win both games. I'm going to go with a sweep over SWAT, which knocks SWAT into a 5-4 seed, basically playing the Kittens in the first round, which is, I think, ultimately what I kind of figured was going to happen 6 weeks ago. Which comes down to the most important game here. Channel 4 News versus Invictus. A battle at Torpy. Bring extra balls because these balls will be flying out of the stadium. The 2 top home running teams playing on that childlike ballpark. If there's even a slight wind going out, I'm gonna say right now, 17 home runs. 17 home runs. I'm calling it right now. 17 home runs. 10-7. I don't know who's gonna hit 10-7, but that's how many home runs are gonna hit that game. It's gonna be a slugfest. I think what's gonna happen is there's gonna be a split. Channel 4 needs a sweep to have any kind of life, but again, even if they sweep them, Invictus still plays the Wolfpack the last game of the season, or the Gentlemen's Club. I mean, they're gonna finish off with a minimal of 2 losses. So, I mean, that doesn't really help them. So they need a sweep to get 3 if they want to catapult themselves into the third or to the second seed. That being said, looks like it's a 3-way race for first place, which could be Channel 4, Hitmen, and Invictus. It's really going to come down to Hitmen and Invictus. Hitmen does own the tiebreaker over Channel 4 News, and it does hold the tiebreaker over Invictus. And that tiebreaker, that first week matchup versus Invictus, is going to be the thing that kind of ends it all. I mean, that one game where they won by 7 or whatever, they hold the tiebreaker by like 2 runs. It's going to come down to whether they go first or second or third. So tiebreaker is very important. Those are my picks. See you guys on the field.